here on your election command center. We're going to be spending some time in that constituency to understand why there is not as much jubilation on the side of the NPP as we are seeing from the NDC. Now, what we are seeing already is that some functionaries of the NDC, including the General Secretary of the party, Fifi Fiavikwete, have already come out publicly and been speaking to Assin on 3FM 92.7 as well, that based on the provisional results that they have collated, they are in the lead. And indeed, James Echekwesen, based on the provisional results of the NDC that they have collected, should all things being equal, be expected to retain the seat for the NDC in the Assin North constituency. That's what the NDC has put out some few minutes ago. Let's cross over to the constituency now, and my colleague Komla Kluche is there monitoring the events. Komla, what's happening where you are as we speak?
To the street and then you jubilate.
We have our own internal collation system, and our internal collation system, so far we have done almost 90 polling stations out of 99, and the Honorable Echekwesen is leading by over 4,000 votes. Look, today, the Supreme Court of Assin North had delivered itself, and we are grateful to them. We thank them. In fact, I want to do this song. Revo, revo, revo.
You look like you're not ready. I invited you here to update you on the NDC's collation of provisional results from all the 99 polling stations in the Assin of constituency. Now, in this very room, you have our coalition set up for this by-election. And this coalition process was handled by a team led by Comrade Roger Jemfi, Comrade Atabuaten, and the NDC's Elections Directorate, headed by our acting National Elections Director, Comrade Amate. We're happy to inform you that so far we have received results from all the polling agents we deployed to the 99 polling stations in the Assin of constituency. But even before we take you through the results, let me introduce to you the man for whose cause we are here. The man who has put smiles on our faces, the man who has given the great NDC victory, and the man who, by the grace of God, is going to be the next member of parliament, or if you like, still the member of parliament for the Assin of constituency. Honorable James Echekwesen is in the house. A round of applause for him. Honorable is here. And I can announce to you that Honorable is the MP-elect for the Assin of constituency as far as the just ended by-election is concerned. Now, before Honorable will speak to us, Honorable will sit down, and at this stage I will take you through the results we have received from all our who we deployed to the 99 polling stations in the constituencies. So you can see on the screen here the names of polling stations, the votes the MPP candidate got, the votes the LPG candidate got, the votes the NDC candidate, Honorable Echekwesen got, the total valid votes, and the rejected valid votes. So just to take you through a few polling station results. Cocoa Shed, MPP 37, LPG 0, NDC 63, valid votes, total valid votes 100. You come to Cocoa Shed, Kano, MPP 44, LPG 0, NDC 55, total valid votes 99, rejected 3. You come to Kianta, NPP 58, LPG 0, NDC 113, total valid votes 171, rejected 1. Now, these results, you can scroll through. We have these results from all the 99 polling stations. And you can see as we are scrolling, all the 99 polling stations. We've received our results from our agents, and we deployed 2 agents to each of the 99 polling stations, in all 198 agents. And so we have all the results.
Well, so that's what's been happening in the NDC's coalition center there in the Assin North constituency. What we've just shown you is the NDC's coalition and they put out, and actually took our reporters through every step of the way, the coalition process, based on which they have projected that James Jachakwesen, all things being equal, is retaining the seat on the ticket of the NDC in the Assin North constituency. That's what we're monitoring with the NDC's earlier, what you just heard, Sami Jemfi, who is the National Communications Officer of the NDC, talking there, in fact, introducing James Jachakwesen there. Now, we're looking quite closely into the other results that are yet to come through here on your election command center, because from the 44 out of the 99 that we have, the provisional results, we're seeing clearly why the NDC is in a jubilant mood. But let's cross over to the constituency, and we will connect with Komla Kluche shortly. But also, we've got an update now. We have 52 out of the 99 polling stations provisional results. 52 out of the 99. Bear in mind, so far we do know 99 polling stations in this Assin North constituency, as you see right there on the screen. For those of you listening to us on 3FM 92.7, per the provisional results of 52 out of the 99 polling stations results, we have NDC, that's James Jachakwesen, per the provisional results, up by 55%, and the NPP's Charles Opoku following with 44%. These were the provisional results of 52 of the 99 polling stations provisional results in the Assin North constituency by-election. A very, very keenly contested by-election, a crucial one for that matter. And as I indicated to you earlier, this 8th Parliament of the Republic of Ghana has been all about the numbers. And that's why you saw the entire government machinery, in fact, move to this constituency in the run-up to this by-election today, because the NPP sought to solidify its majority hold in this 8th Parliament by increasing their numbers to 139 if they had won this. And the NDC as well, seeking to maintain the status quo with a push for James Jachakwesen to be retained as Member of Parliament, with the 137 with the independent candidate who has decided to do business with the NPP in this 8th Parliament. But as things are playing out now, if things continue this way, certainly we're going to see at the end what the Electoral Commission would eventually announce. But the NDC maintains that they have won the polls. Now, joining me in studio is Professor Ransford Jampo. He's a professor of political science at the University of Ghana, Legon. Professor Ransford Jampo, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening. Confirm. Thanks for having me.
Now, and since the beginning of the polls this morning, I know it's something you've been monitoring quite closely. We had a conversation on Saturday, and you gave indication of how things may play out. From the morning and the events that have characterized this by-election till this time when we are seeing the provisional results come through, what are your takeaways? What are the issues that struck you the most today in this by-election?
Well, I thought we were going to do this after the final results. have been released. Now that the final results have not been released, it's going to be a bit difficult for me to do a proper sum up and proper takeaway lessons for the political parties that contested this all important election. But generally, from what I saw, I want to talk about the fact that the events leading to the elections were bad events. They were events that we had spoken against, especially vociferously during the Kumewu by-elections. And I was not expecting that these events would be repeated in the Assin North by-elections. But they were repeated, maybe even in grand scheme. You still had road constructed and other infrastructure facilities being opened, quickly quick construction of these facilities, and they being opened or donated or as it were, just given to the constituent that, well, we have done this for you, and so look at what we have done and vote for us. Beyond that, we had allegations of other allegations of vote buying, the sharing of monies, and this time we are told that those allegations of vote buying were from both sides. And I kept wondering, between the ruling party and the opposition party, how is it possible that you have a ruling party accusing the opposition party that is so broke that they are rather sharing money, when we know that those who have ATM machines on their veranda are those who belong to the ruling party? We know this. And so, even though I'm not saying this to excuse the opposition party for also involving in itself in vote buying, I want to say that the accusation and counter accusations are all wrong. I mean, the point is that vote buying, whether it is perpetrated or orchestrated by the opposition, or whether it is done by those in power, vote buying is vote buying. It's wrong because it tends to undermine the expression of the sovereign will of the people. So it's something that those of us who call ourselves democracy watchers should not tolerate, and we should always kick against it. We should speak against it. The other bit was the early start of the polls, which, in my view, was something that was commendable. Oftentimes, in all elections, you would have late start of polls plaguing the processes. But maybe because this one was a keenly competitive elections, you have the polls starting on time and as expected. We saw the campaigning that went on, and I was not hearing so much message from either side. They were just looking for votes, and they were not so solid on message. But one message or one campaign thing that was said that I found quite disappointing and unfortunate was the president's insinuation that Jachi Kwesi was on his way to prison. I thought that the president, being a lawyer of no mean repute, one of Ghana's best constitutional lawyers, I thought he would have known that if a criminal proceeding or if a matter is sub judice, if a matter is before the courts, you don't make such pronouncement. If you tell us that the man is already on his way to prison, it means you are prejudging the court process. How do we know? So how, from what evidence, and how did he know? Is he a judge? You are not a judge. Is he talking to the judges behind the scenes? Is he trying to influence them? If you do that, you put a certain unnecessary pressure on the judiciary, because now people would now begin to open their eyes and they want to look at how the judgment of the case would go. I thought that somebody who is a lawyer, like the president, should have known better that if criminal proceedings are going on and somebody is standing trial on a matter of criminality, you don't simply jump the gun by saying that the man is on his way to prison. If you do that, are you now telling the judges that at all costs they must send him to prison? And what are you trying to do? So I thought it was absolutely unacceptable. But he's made it and he's spoken against it. And I want to believe that regardless of the perception that judicial independence has been undermined in so many ways, I want to believe that the judges are discerning. The judges, they live in the communities in which we live. And so they are in a position to analyze the moods and sentiments of people. And they are also people who are expected to be of their own integrity, they are self-made people. And so I would urge them to disregard the unfortunate comments of the president and let them look at the facts of the matter and use the law to decide whatever the fate of the Assin will be. Beyond that, I think so far the elections have been held. We heard about the incidents of violence.
Yes,
some
pockets
of violence, and we've also
saw.
read the statement issued by the police outfit saying that suspects, people who took the law of the land into their own hands, have been arrested as suspects, and investigations are still ongoing. The IGP called on Ghanaians to double up their efforts in offering support to the police so that we will all be able to ensure that law and order prevails. The results have not been released, but so far, I think what the NDC is doing is something that is commendable. I'm seeing that the NDC has set up a collation center, and now they are also collating their own resource. It's a party that had been berated and had been trolled that it's always talking about having won elections, but it didn't know how to collate resource. So now I'm sure they went into this particular election very much prepared, and so they are also doing their independent tabulation of results, after which they can compare with the Electoral Commission. And we've seen a lot of people jubilating, even in areas that, in some of the polling stations that the MPP candidate won, the NDC supporters were jubilating. And it tells you that they were jubilating because even though in those areas they lost, their votes had appreciated.
Yes.
In the strongholds of the MPP, their votes had appreciated, and
Yes.
so they were jubilating. And for me, this should tell all politicians the caliber of people we have in Ghana. You no longer can insult their intelligence. You no longer can take them for granted. You no longer can wait and starve them of development and quickly go and implement shoddy developmental projects just because there is going to be a by-election. They are discerning, they are wise enough. And so if you're a politician and you think you are wiser, you are wise, then the constituents or the people are telling you they are wiser. If you are wise enough, you will be able to know that, look, this is the strategy, this is my modus operandi. Anytime there's going to be elections, I will go and implement developmental projects just aimed at winning votes. But now, the people have seen through. And so they will tell you that regardless of whatever you do to win vote, they will vote according to their own conscience. And I think that if you're a politician and you cannot learn from this message, simple message, then you are not wise. If you're a politician and you continue to think that the people are ignorant and dumb, and so you can implement or prosecute this kind of stomach direction agenda of always starving people of developmental projects and only hurriedly going there to do something, wishy-washy something, just as a way of attracting their sympathies and votes. If you want to keep on, go on that tangent without change, then you are not wiser. Then the constituents are wiser than you, even though you want to, in your actions and inaction, tell everybody that they are dumb. They are not dumb. And so I am very happy with the processes that have gone on up till now, whilst we await the declaration, final declaration of results. I think that I want to commend the Electoral Commission. I want to commend the police, and I want to commend all who participated in the process for the kind of maturity they have displayed. We want to also condemn the pockets of violence that took place and say that we should aim at conducting or hosting elections that are incident-free. Elsewhere, when elections are ongoing, people go about their normal work. But of course, well, you cannot fault them too much, because if you have high rate of joblessness among the people, I mean, if you are busy, you are busy here working on television, doing production, looking for news here and there. If you were to go vote in Assin North, I'm sure you vote, and then you hurriedly come back to work because you have something doing. Sure. But if people are not so much employed, then, or they are unemployed, you have a lot of young people being unemployed, then some of them even see the conduct of these by-elections even as a form of entertainment. And so they are so excited about it, and sometimes they are aggressively on the defensive. They want to protect the ballot, they want to do, and some of these things lead to unnecessary tension that also could accentuate the potential for violence occurring in the conduct of such elections. So generally, it's been good. Let us wait and see who will be declared victorious. But clearly, I think the pointers are on Judge Equation. And I will be surprised and disappointed as to why anybody would have qualms with why he would emerge victorious. And there are so many things that I want to talk about after the declaration of results. But the point is that there is a man that who had been overly marketed, the man who had become a household name. He had been overly marketed.
And so all the court issues.
Well, the man who has known,
his name was
Kwame Nkrumah won elections in prison, from prison. He won elections. Why do you think that happened? So this is a man who has no peace from day one up to now. And you don't think the way the court processes went and the way his name was bandied around and the way even the president in his campaign made him popular by those unfortunate remarks that he made that the man was on his way to prison and all that. You had overly marketed the man. So I didn't see why, I don't see why anybody would have qualms with why Judge Equation would eventually, in my view, after the declaration of final results, be made or be declared winner. I mean, he was going to win.
And it's a very extensive initial analysis that you make, Professor Ransford Jampo, and you hit very important chords on some of the issues that you have talked about. And the point that you ended with, that already because of what led to this by-election, James Judge Equation had received enough publicity, and his name was more of a top-of-mind awareness for a lot of the people in the Assin North constituency. We have an update of the provisional results that we have here on your election command center. We're going to put it. In fact, we're getting this from the coalition center of the Electoral Commission in the Assin North constituency. So 74 out of 99, as we put it out there, the NDC, and we're going to put that chart on the screen so that our viewers will follow every step of the way. Based on the 74 out of the 99 polling station results so far that the Electoral Commission is projecting at its own coalition center, 74 out of 99, the NDC, James Judge Equation, is still leading with 54%, and the NPP's, that's Charles Opoku, with 45%. Now, we're working on the chart. In fact, there's an Excel sheet that the Electoral Commission is uploading the results real time at the Coalition Center in the Assin North constituency. My colleague Eric Egbeta is there. He is at the Coalition Center of the Electoral Commission, and that's what you see right there. This is coming live from the Electoral Commission's Coalition Center in the Assin North constituency. There's 74 out of the 99 results that the Electoral Commission officials have themselves counted and certified there. Well, this is what is at the Coalition Center of the EC, 74 out of 99. Charles Opoku, 45.43% of the total vote cast. And Benis Enyonam Sefenu of the LPG, 0.28%. And James Jatakwesin of the NDC, 54.29%. This is captured from the Electoral Commission's Coalition Center in the constituency, the Assin North constituency. So that's what we have so far. 74 out of the 99 polling station results that the Electoral Commission itself has put together. So stay with us here on your Election Command Center. We're going to be bringing you more live updates from the Coalition Center of the Electoral Commission in the Assin North constituency here on your Election Command Center. Professor Ransford Japo still with me in studio. So essentially, that statement by the president, indeed, from your own analysis, as we've seen now, the analysis, it didn't really help the democratic process. It sent wrong
serious
signals
problems. It's a serious statement that undermines judicial independence. If a matter is sub judice, you don't comment about it in that manner. You don't just go telling people, and especially, he's not a party fool soldier. He's the #1 gentleman of the land. He's the one who is reputed to be among one of Ghana's best constitutional lawyers. He's a lawyer of no mean repute, and so you do not expect him that a serious matter that has national interest like this before the courts, you don't expect that the president will go and do partisan politics, simply cheap partisan politics with it. You don't have to talk like that. If you do that, what are you? You are necessarily putting pressure on the judges. You are now making people putting people aggressively on the defensive. If you don't take care, what you are going to do is that you may get the court giving a certain judgment, and then the people will say that because the president said this, and that's why the judgment has been given in that way. If you don't take care, people will just rise up and defy what the court has said. And if that happens, where do you think we will be heading to? And so I think that when it comes to the judiciary, I believe we have bastardized the notion of judicial independence enough. And we should allow them to be. Because when it gets to the crunch, it is the judiciary that will keep us together. And so I think that the president had no business making those remarks simply because he was on a campaign platform. I think he's bigger than this. He's more mature than that. He's a seasoned politician. He should have known better.
Now, we have an update just coming through from the Electoral Commission's Coalition Center. Now, it's moved to 78, from 74 to 78 out of the 99 polling station results that the Electoral Commission itself has counted and certified at its Coalition Center in the Assin North constituency. Charles Opoku, 44.41%. He's just moved up by just about a percentage point from the 74 we put out earlier. 44.41%. You also see Sefenu Benis Enyonam of the LPG, 0.28%. And then James Jatakwesin has also inched up by a percentage to 55.31%. So that's what you see there. With James Jatakwesin still in the lead, based on the Electoral Commission's own constituency level coalition sheet, which we have a copy of. My colleague Eric Egbeta is at the Coalition Center of that's the Electoral Commission in the Assin North constituency. James Jatakwesin, 55.31%. Benis Enyonam Sefenu, LPG, 0.28%. Charles Opoku of the NPP, 44.41%. That is 78 out of 99. So what this means is that we have so far close to 21, in fact, of the polling station results yet to come through.
Yeah.
Fifi Kwete, Professor Jampo, hold on a bit for me. And Fifi Kwete is General Secretary of the NDC. He's joining me on the telephone from the Assin North constituency. Fifi Kwete, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on your election command center. From the initial, we are seeing, at least based on the Electoral Commission's own majority of the votes that the polling station result they have certified so far, it certainly is coming as good news for you, is it not? Hello, Fifi, can you hear me? Hello, Fifi, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. Now, I was saying that we've seen your own coalition that has already put James Echekwesen up as the elected that's member of parliament for, or the retained member of parliament for the Assin North, if you want to put it that way. But we've also seen so far the Electoral Commission's own confirmed collated results, a majority of it putting James Echekwesen by about some 9 percentage point lead. It certainly must come to you as good news, is it not?
Yeah, good evening to you and to all your many viewers. You know, I mean, that's how it is all the time. I mean, the Electoral Commission will take time, and because they basically come up with a very certified result. So naturally, they have to be a little more slower at it. They can only operate on the back of pink sheets, and so the process is a little shorter. Then, of course, if you have a party coalition system that is absolutely on point, you are able to know way in advance. And that's so pertains in all democracies. I mean, the political parties are able to have a clear view, oftentimes much earlier than the Electoral Commission. So we wait for the Electoral Commission to complete this meticulous process, but we are certain that the outcome is inescapable.
I see. Now, based on how things have played out, what do you think worked for you? I mean, in this by-election, because of how keenly contested it was, and we saw the incumbency that's influence with the loads of overnight projects that sprang up in the lead up to this by-election that you face with today?
First of all, let me begin by saluting the great people of Assin North. I think what it is they have done is to signal the whole country that you can fool all the people sometimes, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. And that's what the great people of Assin North have done. And it's a signal also to a nation whose moral fiber is suffering a great deal, a nation where depravity is gradually becoming the order of the day, where people think that nothing matters, you can sell your soul as long as you can get something for your stomach is fine. I think North is indicating that no, it doesn't work that way. That no matter how poor you are, no matter how slightly lowly your conditions are, you can still stand and fight for what is right. You can still stand and fight for what is just. You can still stand and fight for what is true. You can look at the people trying to deceive you and insult your intelligence and tell them that, listen, I'm not going to allow you to continue doing what you are doing. So I think, first of all, we need to salute that. Then, of course, we also need to salute the activities done by the great NDC party and also the candidate, Echekwesen. I mean, it's been tremendous work. I mean, what you call moving to house, community to community. We focus on our job. We allow the MPP to go on the glamour in order. I mean, thinking that somehow their project and their desperation to lie to the people, I mean, and all that depravity is going to win the day for them. And we did a real hard work, what you call the true retail politics. So we think a combination of those factors, and also the fact that the whole nation is yearning that this, should I call it, this system that we have currently ruling our country is dealt a little blow. I mean, if this system is not punished, If this government that has become a government of depravity is not punished, trust me, this nation's soul will perish. Now, so this is a signal, it's a wake-up call that Assin is sending to the rest of Ghana, that these people must be severely punished come December 7, 2024. Their rottenness, their degeneration, their corruption, their wickedness, their selfishness must be punished severely. And that is a message that is going to the country.
Now, the NPP went into this by-election with a strategy. They say that Skirt and Blouse, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo won this constituency in the presidential in 2020. And so they changed their candidate, got someone from James Jachekwesin's hometown, Assin Breko, but all of that did not have any significant impact. How did you play around that? Because I know that you are the chief scribe, chief strategist of the party. Looking at all this change in strategy that the NPP employed, and you still were able to have a superior strategy over and above them. How did you work around that?
I think a number of factors. First and foremost, the very anger of the people at what they see as blatant injustice clearly work in our favor. You know, I mean, the people of Ghana are very discerning. They clearly know that the only reason why Jachekwesin is being persecuted is simply because Jachekwesin played a role in electing the Speaker of Parliament on January 6, 2021. And that led to a speaker that was coming from the opposition, and that has not allowed NPP to have his way and do all the things that they want to do. So every single thing that Jachekwesin has suffered simply is because they want to punish him by every means. If Jachekwesin had not been pivotal in casting that vote, they would not have done what they were doing. If they had been able to, for example, find in Jachekwesin a corrupt individual that they can use their ill-gotten money to bribe, to deceive, for him to do their dirty work for them, and be in NDC and be doing what you call the dirty work for them, trust me, they would have given him a leeway long ago. So that awakening in the heart of the people of Assin is a wonderful awakening. The rest of Ghana need to pay heed to that. The rest of Ghana need to pay attention to that and ensure that come December 7, 2024, Ghana as a whole comes together to ensure that this level of injustice, this what you call a rule of this arrogant rule, this behavior that because I'm in government I can do anything, I can unjustly deal with people and show them where power lies, that must come to an end. Now,
during that last rally to round up the campaigning on Sunday, President Akufo-Addo made a statement about James Jachekwesin and his court case and the probability of what could come out, and that has been roundly condemned by all the democratic watchers in this country and beyond. But for you as a party, this statement, what are you going to do after this victory, knowing that James Jachekwesin is still going to be attending the court of law?
For us, that statement is actually revealing the nature of the government we have. It's a government that has reached a level where they are literally weaponizing all the institutions of the state. That's what they've done. They believe they can get away with murder. They can do anything and get away with it because they are in power. Exactly the same thing we saw the last time they were in power, when they declared that by the time the fast-track prosecution of their political opponent was over, the NDC as a party will cease to exist. That is who they have always been. That's their DNA. They believe that when you have power, you destroy your enemy. You take your enemy down. You do anything possible. You weaponize the institutions, you subvert them, you corrupt them, you pervert the institutions to get your way. But Ghana is stronger than them. The spirit of Ghana is stronger than this generation. The spirit of Ghana is stronger than this corruption. The spirit of Ghana is stronger than this depravity. And Ghana will emerge victorious, and NPP will surely sunset and into the position for them to learn the bitter lesson. And the grave they are digging today, they will be buried in that grave tomorrow.
Fifi Fiavikwete, thank you so much for...
It's a pleasure.
Appreciate your time.
It's a pleasure.
And thank you. And he's the General Secretary of the NDC, and rightly so, you can understand how and why the reactions of jubilation and victory in that constituency. Here's what we have from the Electoral Commission's Coalition Center in the Assin North constituency. Now we have 89 out of 99 polling station results. Charles Opoku, 42.72%. Benis Enyonam Sefenu has inched up to 0.29%. The last time I showed you was 0.28%. She has gone up to 0.29%. And James Jachequason of the NDC has inched up to 56.99%, essentially about 57%. If you look at the percentage difference between James Jachequason and Charles Opoku as we speak, per the results of 89 polling stations out of the 99 polling stations, it's about 14.27%. If you do the maths, if you subtract in percentage points what James Jachequason has now, the 56.99, and what Charles Opoku, as we speak, is getting based on the Electoral Commission's results that they are projecting at their coalition center. We have an update just coming through as well. Now, this is coming through thick and fast because the Electoral Commission is doing quite well in trying to ensure that they are able to round up this process as quickly as possible, not to go late into the night. Now we have 92 out of 99. 92 out of 99 polling station results. These are results that the Electoral Commission is putting at its coalition center. In fact, stay with me. We've just gotten an update, Professor Jampo. From 92, we've moved to 96. It's been very fluid. Now, the 96 results out of 99. This is the Electoral Commission, what they are putting at their coalition center. That the Excel sheet I showed you minutes ago, we pulled it from there. James Jachequason 57.15% and Charles Opoku 42.56%. That is how things are playing out now. 57.15% James Jachequason and 42.56% for Charles Opoku. This is the coalition center of the Electoral Commission in the Assin North constituency, the results that have been posted there. My colleague Eric Mayona is feeding out with the results thick and fast, and as they come through, very, very fluid flow of the results so far. That's how things are looking. 96 out of 99. So we have 3 polling stations results to go. 3 polling station results to go at the Electoral Commission's Coalition Center in the Assin North constituency. Okay, Professor Jampo, I've just got some results coming through. This is 99 out of 99 polling station results. Let's put that on the screen. 99 out of 99. And we have the Excel sheet, and we got the feedback that it wasn't too visible when we put the Excel sheet on screen. So viewers should bear with us. We're trying to just take out the information and put it in the right graphics that you can see quite clearly. 99 out of 99. There you go. This is what the Electoral Commission is putting up at their coalition center in the Assin North constituency. 99 out of 99. Based on the information from the Electoral Commission's Coalition Center in the Assin North constituency, 99 out of 99. 57.56% James Jachequason and Charles Opoku 42.15%. That is the Electoral Commission per the results at the polling center, that's the coalition center in the Assin North constituency. 99 out of 99. This is the information we have so far. And we have the picture of the Excel sheet that they're feeding the coalition, that the results at the coalition center with. So that's where you have it now. 57.56% for James Achequason, 42.15% for Charles Opoko. The difference of 15.41%. That is the difference between them. In fact, if you look at in terms of figures, James Achequason has actually increased his hold in the constituency in terms of raw figures, because in the year 2020, he won with 3,000 votes. There you have it. As has come through from the Electoral Commission's own Coalition Center, the results we've shown you. Based on that, James Achequason is MP-elect, Assin North constituency. That is what we are having now. James Achequason, MP-elect, Assin North constituency. That is the information based on the Electoral Commission's results that they are posting at their own coalition center in the Assin North constituency. Professor Ransford Jampo, this is it. And this is here on your election command center. We make reference to what's happening in the constituency and the Electoral Commission's own coalition center, the results they're putting there. That's what we have now. James Achequason retains this seat with 57.56% of the total vote cast, as against Charles Opoko of the MPP, 42.15% of the total vote cast. And in fact, as I indicated earlier, James Achequason has increased the votes in the constituency based on the analysis of what happened in the 2020 elections. In the 2020 general elections, he won against Abena Druwa with a little over 3,000 votes. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo won the presidential, so it was a typical skirt and blouse situation. Now, the criticism against Abena Druwa was that she's not from Assin Breku, and so that's what worked against her. So the MPP changed its candidate, brought someone from Assin Breku, Charles Opoko, but that did not make much of a difference. Now, tell me about what you see in this.
Well, this is now from the Electoral Commission's own database and coalition. What I want to say is that it was a gross display of arrogance for the ruling party to think of victory in this particular by-election for many reasons. They should have toned down on the kinds of things that they were saying and their own machinations. For me, like I said, it was a display of arrogance for many reasons. You had overly popularized the man. That is number one. He had become so popular, and you didn't know if you wanted to close your eyes to the fact that you had made the man so popular and that you felt that didn't count or that wasn't going to count in an election. It means you are arrogant and you didn't know what the dynamics of elections are. That's number one. Number two, the man had also courted, through your own instrumentalities, the man had also courted a lot of sympathy for himself. And you didn't know this? And you preferred to listen to polls by people who do not know polls, results of polls by people who sit in the comfort of their bedrooms and write and feed you with information simply because of their stomach. That's what you wanted to listen to. Number three.
Put out that Charles Boko was,
Well,
I mean, the likes of
listen. I eat research. Okay, I'm a young man. It was not because I went to beg. Okay, I got to the position of full professorship, first of all, by the grace of God, and secondly, through the hard work in the rudiments of research. 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. consistently every day for 5 years. You think it's easy? So if I look at the kinds of things that I did to churn out research papers, and I see people claiming they have undertaken research, and so they are giving research outcome in terms of potential expectation of how an election result is going to look like. I look at them and I laugh. But unfortunately, our politicians are always interested in listening. Their ears are itchy in listening to propagandistic research outcome. And so you did this and you didn't know that this was going to be the outcome. The third important variable was that our Ghanaians are not dumb. Things are hard. Times are hard. We are all experiencing difficulties. And Ghanaians are rational voters now. And so the basic bread and butter issues will always come to play in elections, especially in areas that are swings. Okay, even in their own Kumewu, didn't you see that the NDC appreciated in votes? Okay, so three main factors. Number one, you made the man popular. Number two, he appealed, people sympathize with whatever is going on. And then number three, the basic bread and butter issues coming up as a result of the current hardships that Ghanaians are facing. These three issues were going to play up. And so,
in fact, I'm going to stay with you on these three issues that you have just outlined because they're quite crucial. Now, let's cross over to the constituency live. My colleague, Eric Mayonegbeta, is at the Coalition Center in the Assin North constituency, the Eastern Coalition Center. Mauna, take it over. What's happening there?
Constituency. It has come to a final conclusion as the official results awaiting declaration from the Electoral Commission continues to be projected. The Catholic Youth Center here at Assin Breku for viewers at home to catch a glimpse of so that we can get a fair understanding as to exactly what it is. Out of the 99 polling stations across the Assin North constituency, we have a clear picture now. 57.56% going to James Jachikwesin, which is pointing to a victory, a more than 10% victory for him as against the 42.15% garnered by Charles Opoku. There was a third force, if we can call them a force at all, the Liberal Party of Ghana, Sepenu Benes Enyonam. She managed to poll just 87%, 87 votes, I beg your pardon, representing 0.29%. We'll get to the NDC, who are quite strong here because from the indications on their grounds, they did their own collations where we've heard from Sami Jemfi, who's declared or called the elections for James Jachikwesin some minutes even before we could get the clear picture from the Electoral Commission. They have been upbeat. If you did a tour of the constituency, particularly for us, and where we've been to from Praso all through to Dasaman to Breku here, it's been jubilation all across from the supporters of the NDC. For an area like Praso, which predominantly, according to a lot of the watchers here, is an MPP stronghold. Once the NDC began to appreciate in votes and win some of the polling stations, the supporters got the sense or caught the wind that, yes, it is likely that we're getting that much anticipated victory that we've worked hard for. And so the jubilation started from the street. Horns were blaring loudly from the vehicles there. Persons who were not supporters as well also joined in the celebration because, as it is said more often than not, the winning team or victory or success has many friends. And so there's been lots of friends for the NDC in the Assin North constituency when the tide began to turn towards them. And it became the more and more evident that they have reached that milestone which they've worked so tirelessly for, according to a lot of the officials who've been crisscrossing the constituency. William Evansinkum is here with me as well. He's been to a number of the polling stations as well. At some point was at the Presbyterian Hospital following the incident at Praso as well. We're just going to be getting his thoughts as well whilst we seek out to get a lot more opinion from the officials of the NDC who are present here. William, final results awaiting declaration. You've been to a number of the polling stations as well. We've witnessed a lot of the jubilation. Just general sense from you as to what we've witnessed all throughout today.
Well, I think it's been a good show on the side of the NDC, who has always been poised for action as far as, retaining the seat, is concerned. For them, it was unnatural justice. To them, the way James Jeche Kwesen was asked out of Parliament. Well, that is their opinion because it was just the court that was speaking. So to them, they needed this to also prove a point that even though, yes, Assin North, since its creation in 2016, has been a swing seat, for both political parties, the MPP and the NDC, but they needed to also make a case that this is the seat, this was the seat, and definitely or certainly they were going to hold grip to that. And exactly what we have seen are not a mere victory, but a victory that some way, somehow, you wouldn't say that it's a landslide, but it is an emphatic one because if you look at the percentage, that definitely it is telling. It is telling. As far as the political, development here is concerned, that indeed it is a seat for James Jeche Kwesen, and of course, what we were hearing from, some of the voters in the lead up to the, voting process, and of course, after the voting exercise, that they want to prove a point, they want to say, of course, two voters that I heard them say that, well, this is not Kumewu, this is Assin North constituency, and we have a tradition, we hold our own political belief, and that is what we are going to showcase. As far as this particular exercise is concerned, exactly what we saw. So it is a simple story. It is a straightforward story, a story that definitely in the future will certainly be left for generation to come and also hear. A story that, of course, has already defined the political culture as far as Assin North constituency is concerned, and exactly what we see on the projector. So James Jeche Kwesen has won with 57.56%, followed by Charles Sopoko with 42.15%, and of course, Stephen Benis Enyonam, who was representing the LPG, the only female candidate as far as the election was concerned, the by-election was concerned, also garnering some 0.29%. Very poor show on his side, but I'm not surprised because, moving from polling station to the other, one thing that I observed that I hardly saw any polling agent representing her. So I am not particularly surprised that she didn't put up a show.
Right, and that's my colleague William Evansinkum, who's been providing a lot of the details for us as we continue to make preparations really to get a sense as to exactly what it is. The Electoral Commission, in about a short while, with that on your screen, the clearest indication is that we're gearing slowly towards a final declaration of the result. But that cannot happen without the victorious candidate being present. That's James Jeche Kwesen. And so the expectation is that he will be coming here. My colleague Komla Kluche, who was at the NDC's Coalition Center, and now gave details as to how we've got indication now that their Coalition Center has closed officially. And so from there, the indication we get is that we can begin to expect James Jeche Kwesen to be moving towards the Catholic Youth Center, which is the Coalition Center, where all of the results have come together and we're expecting a final declaration. But we'll try as well to just get a bit more expert opinion from the many NDC stalwarts who are here. I've seen the Boem MP, Kofi Adams, present here as well. We'll just try pick his thoughts as well, what the strategy has been, because on the final day of campaigning, interestingly, the NDC didn't hold a big rally. They ensured that they remained in the nooks and crannies to get a fair sense of what it is that the constituents really wanted to hear. My colleague Komla Kluche continued to provide a lot of those details. Mr. Kofi Adams has joined us. He's the Boem MP. I'll just ask that you just turn a bit for us so that we can pick thoughts for you. For the NDC, I'm sure this is evidence of work done well on the grounds. How would you describe the results that we've seen on the screens as projected by the Electoral Commission?
Well, I think you have summed it all, that good work, right strategy on the ground. And the fact that the people of Ghana are tired of this government also. And the fact that the Assin people generally hate injustice and they love good people. Our candidate was good, our message was good, our messengers were good, our strategy was right, and they have blessed us with this victory to send a message to the New Patriotic Party government that the deception has an end, and that end has come. And the ultimate end will come in 2024.
You believe this is already painting pictures as to expectations for the 2024 general elections? There are those who make the argument that there cannot be bearings at all as to what we've seen here.
Well, I don't take it away from those who make that argument. Neither am I going to stand here and conclude that it means that 2024 is a done deal. But before we came to this constituency for this by-election, many of you, and I'm sure including your very good self, if you didn't say it, you heard people say that this is a test case and that Kumewu was not, and that this is a constituency the NDC won both presidential and parliamentary in 2012, lost both presidential and parliamentary in 2016, won parliamentary and lost presidential in 2020. So it's a test case. Now we have come, and you've seen the results as it's been projected. The NDC mixed our 2020 figure by just about 200 votes, whilst MPP lost over 2,000 votes. It should tell you something. There were polling stations we didn't come near performing 24% of the votes. This time around, we flipped such polling stations. So it should give you an indication that right strategy worked on the ground. The people are tired of lies. They want development. They want truth. They want justice. And they spoke. Despite the inducement, even today, I'm sure some of you witnessed it. Huge money is being dished out to voters that they should go and vote. Some being asked to take pictures, and they told them, well, you have lied to us, you have cheated us, you have stolen from us, your money will not induce us. We will vote the right way. And I believe that they have done so. For me, these results should energize every Ghanaian everywhere to focus and let's all work hard.
Yes, this is your Election Command Center live updates from the Coalition Center. This is the Catholic Youth Center. That is the Coalition Center of the Electoral Commission in the Assin North constituency. My colleague Eric Mayona Egbeta and William Evansinkum, Komla Kluche and Thomas Khan with the team there talking to the boy member of parliament, Kofi Adams, as well. We'll reconnect with him. But at this point, we do know, as we await the official declaration of the Electoral Commission of James Jatukwesen as winner of this by-election. He's retained this seat on the ticket of the NDC. So we here on your Election Command Center can now confidently say that James Jatukwesen has won this by-election on the ticket of the NDC in the Assin North constituency with 57.56%. That's against Charles Opoku of the MPP with 42.15%. If you look at the raw figures based on the percentage, the raw figures as we have it, just for our viewers to understand a bit more detail, because sometimes when you look, you make it in percentage representation, it doesn't paint the true picture. Now, the raw figures as we have it, from the Coalition Center of the Electoral Commission. James Jachekwason won with 17,245 of the total vote cast, 17,245. Sefenu Benes Enyonam of LPG had 87. Charles Opoku of the MPP polled 12,630. 12,630. If you do the maths and the subtraction, James Jachekwason has actually increased his votes from a little over 3,000 in the 2020 general election that he won to almost 5,000 in this by-election. That tells a story, which Professor Jampo is going to be getting into shortly. This is your election command center. Stay with me. Let's go back to the constituency. My colleague Komla Kluche, he's outside of the coalition center in the midst of some jubilant NDC supporters. Komla, what's going on where you are?
Okay. I mean, you can tell from the background, maybe starting way from the 40 station, when we find the result, and this is, and this will come down.
Okay, all right. We'll try and work on the connection and get back to Komla Kluche on that point. Now, let's stay with the constituency. Let's go back to the coalition center. Eric Mayonegbeta is still with the boy member of parliament, Kofi Adams. Let's hear from him.
You know, they injuncted James Jachekwason for a very long time. Now he will be coming in soon. He will be sworn in, and he will be part and parcel of the numbers, and he will count fully in all our decisions. Don't forget that we have also finished our internal primaries, and so we have our candidates. Our opponents are now going to go into their primaries. Their numbers will be suffering. We have our numbers. We will see what will happen going forward.
Ms. Adams, many thanks.
Thank you.
And so that's the Buem MP Kofi Adams there speaking to us as to how this energizes them as a party going into the 2024 general elections. And it continues to be an atmosphere really for the NDC, one that is characteristic of efforts undertaken, which is yielding results for a lot of them. And so, I mean, even from the voice and his understanding of exactly what it is that has happened, they are quite upbeat. They understand exactly what it means to have worked hard for the victory that has been witnessed here. And so we continue to wait. We continue to wait now for the arrival of James Jachekwason, who, now that all of it has come together, the expectation is that we'll get to see him come around. Then the Electoral Commission can declare a victory for him. And so here at the Catholic Youth Center, it's been nothing short of exhilarating, a bit quicker as well, in terms of what we've seen here, because I recall William Evansinkum was here. As at the last by-elections in Kumewu, it took a much longer time before we saw all of the results finally put together. Mustafa Gbande is joining me as well. He is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, one we speak to quite often as well here on your election command center. Mr. Gbande, many thanks. I recall about 3 weeks ago, you were at our premises. We spoke to you the following day. You were already at Assin North, where you told us that you were on the ground and working. Is it the case that now you feel vindicated that all of that work has paid dividends?
First of all, God has been on our side, and it's a confirmation that Ghanaians are hungry. It's also a confirmation that Ghanaians have rejected the oppressor. Ghanaians have rejected corruption. They have also rejected bribery. It's quite bizarre that these people expected to win the election after impoverishing Ghanaians deliberately and knowing that Ghanaians are hungry and the honest resources sinking our democracy so low that it is no longer about the governance of putting butter on the table of Ghanaians, but it's about coming to buy votes. It's about doing projects that are vote-oriented. For me, that's how low His Excellency Nana Addo have sunk this country to. That is what Ghanaians have risen to the occasion and said, we are no longer interested in this. It is also the case that Ghanaians have rejected injustice and persecution and saying that, look, Mr. President, enough of your persecution. You've seen the extent to which the president sought to politicize the matter in court, to the extent that the president made prejudicial comments that are quite preposterous, comments that are unpresidential, comments that further deepens the already existing mistrust for the judiciary. And I think that if anybody, any president in the history of our country have scandalized the courts, have demonstrated a compromise in the supposed independence of state institutions and not forgetting the judiciary, it is Nana Addo. And that is what the Ghanaian people have rejected. That even despite the fact that they love their candidate, they love Jachi Kwesi, president and government have demonstrated hatred and persecution. And that is what Ghanaians have rejected. And so this is just a message that enough is enough. Nana Addo has failed. His government is a failure. They must be packing their things and leaving.
We haven't seen your colleagues from the NPP side here as well. I know that all throughout the process, the relationship has been cordial. You've met to and fro. I've seen hugs shared between the chairman of the party and then Kennedy Japan as well. How has the interaction been all throughout as voting has gone on today?
They are tired. They've shared the money. 1,000 cedis, 2,000 cedis. That's a lot of deficit on government. A lot of deficit on the National Executive Committee of the NPP. Imagine that as executives who are not paid, but they could take this amount of money and share. They are tired. They will go and rest because they have to think about tomorrow. Think about it, that they are coming to lose power, and yet they have decided to invest this amount of money into a very fruitless exercise like this. So my brother Nanabi, I told him that by the close of the day he will cry. He said he was going to win. I told them that their party is not popular. For us in the NDC, we train people and we have a succession plan. You don't go and borrow a philanthropist to come and do politics. The game of politics is not academics. The game of politics is different. It is a game of common sense and the reality. You don't go and borrow somebody who doesn't understand the ideology of the party, somebody who is not in the party, somebody who doesn't vote in this constituency, hoping that he will win against a certain member of parliament. That would have been a strange strategy. And so for me, again, it demonstrates that our people, our colleagues in the MPP front, are, they have lost their ideas. Ideas and strategy is gone. So let them go and rest. We are here because it's the beginning of much more responsibilities for us to work with. And so we are here. Let them go and rest. Tomorrow we'll begin to engage and fully interrogate the comments of the president as far as the judiciary is concerned.
When you say engage and fully interrogate,
I've said that the president's comments are quite preposterous. They are comments that are unpresidential. They are comments that are divisive. They are not statesmanlike. And that to the extent that it further deepens the already existing mistrust for the judiciary, we must discuss that as a full-scale topic because it compromises the gains we have made as a country democratically. And for us, we must talk about it. If there's any president who have ever compromised, who have ever scandalized the courts in the history of our country, it is His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, who himself is a lawyer. He knows that his comments are in contempt of the court because the matters are in court and the president is the head of the executive and should not be discussing this. He is taught to politicize it. Here it is, he has lost. The president has lost. We must discuss his comments tomorrow, going forward.
Mr. Gbande, many thanks for speaking to us. That's Mustafa Gbande, is Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, also speaking to us this evening here at the Catholic Youth Center. It's some 23 minutes after 9. For a lot of you watching at home, the picture is really clear now as to what all of this has amounted to. We here on your Election Command Center have been providing you details since morning, as early as 6 a.m. When we started coverage, and have been given details as to exactly what it is that has been happening here in the Assin North constituency. We provided all those details for you, from constituents arriving really early in their numbers to electoral officers as well, moving around and ensuring that they got to a number of the places we visited as early as 6 a.m. to ensure that everything was ready just so they can begin the polls by 7 a.m. And for many of the places we visited, we got full, clear indications of polls starting quite early. And so in your shots now, you see that staff of the Electoral Commission, despite everything, are still going through the numbers. They've taken off the results on the screen, but they're still working. And it's been a long, drawn process all throughout the morning, up to this point in time, where they continue to go through, cross the T's, dot the I's, ensure that there cannot be a contest, there cannot be a challenge as to exactly what it is that transpired. So, yeah, largely, it's been a successful exercise, and I was just walking you through how the entire process has been all throughout today here at the Assin North constituency. And the Electoral Commission has been pivotal in all of the things that we've seen. Dr. Suribo Kweku is the Director of Electoral Services here at the EC. He's come from Accra, has been here. He's in your shot. We just want to get quick words from him as to the successes chalked at this particular polls. Dr. Suribo Kweku, you're live on TV through your Election Command Center. He's just shying away just a bit from speaking, but we'll seek to get a few words from him. Up there, Gladys Pinkra as well, the regional chair of the Electoral Commission, just seeking to get a few words from them. It's been a successful process so far. There's been commendations as well from all of the parties all throughout the monitoring process. If we could just try and get a few words from Dr. Suribo Kweku. He's shaking his head again and pointing to her, but I'm sure we can get a few words. I mean, it's been a successful process so far, Madam Pinkra. How would you, as the Electoral Commission, rate it all?
Oh, maybe about 96%.
96%?
Yeah.
And I spoke to you yesterday where you gave the assurance that you have prepared, you have trained your officials, and you're confident that they will exhibit competence at the polls today. Have you picked any sense from any of the parties all throughout that it's not been a case like that?
As you could see, that was exactly what they exhibited on the field.
Right then, so James Jachikwesin has just made his way through now to the Collation Center. Sami Jemfi as well here present. James Jachikwesin as well present. And the chant is already starting. The revolution chant from the supporters of the NDC as they continue to sing loudly. We're here currently, James Jachikwesin in his all-white apparel and giving a wave to us. The expectation is that they will sit and then there will be a final declaration from the Electoral Commission. But James Jachikwesin has now made his way to the Catholic Youth Conference here, where the collation has been ongoing all through, and perhaps maybe we'll get a few words from him just before the final declaration from the Electoral Commission. They're preparing the seat so that he can be able to sit along with his campaign manager as well, Sami Jemfi, who in interviews in the past has mentioned that he's been here month-long preparing the ground, ensuring that enough is done to ensure this victory. Now that victory is here, it will be interesting to get a few words from him as well. He spoke earlier when he declared that they had won the seat and they had won it confidently. They are here now after they closed their coalition center as well. And so it will be interesting to just get a fair sense as to exactly what it is, even as executives of the NDC as well come around and pictures are being taken of James Jechi-Kwesin as well at this particular point. And so handshakes here and there, and really all smiles, but Mr. Kwesin still is keeping a bit of a straight face, really, a solemn look for him, quite largely as to exactly what it is that we've seen. Let me just go get a few words from Mr. Gyamfi, who has executed all of the things that we've seen. You took it upon yourself to be campaign manager for Mr. Kwesin. Would you say that you feel vindicated in that particular decision?
Well, the resounding victory we have chalked is a product of teamwork and hard work. These two factors are what have accounted for the resounding victory. So it's not just about Sami Gyamfi and what I did. Of course, I had to fill a certain vacuum, okay, and by default perform the functions of a campaign manager, for which reason some chose to confer that title on me. But there were many others, like my good brother Kobe Ballon, our able national executives, the national organizer, national youth organizer, the national women's organizer, their deputies, all of us, the elections directorate, and so on and so forth. Our regional executives have been amazing. Our constituency executives have been excellent. And so this victory is a product of teamwork. But above all, this victory is a product of hard work. We put everything into it. I virtually relocated here for the past 1 month. Nothing mattered to me than this victory. And I'm happy today that today we've seen the fruits of our labor. And so when I say hard work, I'm not just talking about working hard without strategy. Because yes, we worked hard, but that hard work was based on a superior strategy, a strategy anchored on continuous research, a strategy anchored on community engagements, a strategy anchored on solving community problems, a strategy anchored on a superior campaign message, a superior campaign communications strategy, and a superior campaign organizational and electoral management strategy. So that is what has given us this victory. But above all, this victory is anchored or has been anchored on a superior candidate. We had a better candidate, a candidate who was already marketable, loved sincerely by the good people of this country. And the electorate are very discerning, very intelligent, very wise, very courageous. And I'm sure you've seen that for yourself today. And they decided to stand by the truth. They decided to stand by justice. And it is their fidelity to the truth and justice that has birthed this victory. Of course, coupled with the hard work and the teamwork that went into the work. And so we're very excited.
We'll come back to you a bit more on the strategy, but let's hear from the winning candidate as well.
Development. And I haven't swayed at all. I'm still going to be pursuing the same agenda because that's the mandate that Assin people have given me. Now, this is a victory not just for myself, it's for the people of Assin, and in fact for the country Ghana. Hopefully one day we'll pursue a good direction of justice, and also to realize that politics is not about sharing money to citizens and get a vote. It's about development. democracy itself is about development. And we're going to set this trend along to make sure that people who are represented get a fair share of the national cake and how to develop their communities.
But it seem to be perturbed despite all the issues that were thrown at you and even the campaign issues that perhaps when you got the law, you may be criminalized, go to court, and all of that. What was your motivation?
Well, as I said earlier, first and foremost, I believe in the rule of law, and I do things according to the law, right? And also I had the support of my constituent, all the people of Assin, not just even Assin, because people alone, my NDC fraternity, then I got people from even the other side of the aisle, which is MPP, who were supporting me. They may not be able to identify themselves openly, but I knew they were I was fairly, very fair, not treated unfairly, that I should say. But as I said earlier, I have to abide by the court's decision. I didn't call for this, they called for it. If they didn't believe in what I did, after all, now they all know the results, and we are going to work with it. So I think there's not much I have to say in terms
finally,
of...
How did you feel when the president, during that final rally, made comments suggesting that the constituent should not vote for you and that you could be headed to prison? It's been largely described as prejudicial. How did you feel about it?
Well, that's his decision. It's not the people's opinion about this, right? He's free to express his own opinion, as he said. I didn't hear it myself. I was told, and you have just re-emphasized on that. But again, I was a bit disappointed to hear that. And I know he's a lawyer, and the fundamental belief or value of legal system, you're innocent until proven guilty. So for him to say that, I think it's not a qualified statement. But again, the good people of Assin have demonstrated that they have conscience and they believe in me. And I mean, human conscience supersedes every justice system, right? So let's live with that. And I'm not here to play games. I came for purpose. I have a vision that I came with, and the people of Assin believe in my vision that I expressed to them. As you came around, your reporters have noticed how underdeveloped this community is. And what the government tried to do to hopefully gain some points in this election, but Assin North people are very, very aware of what is happening. They will not take a road in the middle of a rainy season to change their minds, Obviously, they know better. So I'm still committed to the cause of my work.
All right, thank you very much.
Many thanks, Mr. Kwesen. So that's James Jachi Kwesen there, granting the elections there were live on your election command center on TV3 and on 3FM as well. We've heard from the campaign manager. We've heard from James Jachi Kwesen himself, particularly on those comments by the president, where he, amongst many things, alluded to the fact that the constituents need not vote for him because he could be headed to prison. There was an immediate response from the former president, John Dramani Mahama, that it was prejudicial and the president shouldn't have made comments like that. He says that he feels disappointed because the laws of the country state quite clearly that you're innocent until proven guilty. And so, yes, the president may be entitled to his opinions and the likes, but he does feel greatly disappointed. So we've just got notice that the Electoral Commission, just in a short while, will be declaring the results. And so it all is coming to an end now. and all of the processes, all of the things that we've witnessed, all the voter inducement which kick-started during the process, which we've widely reported, which has been spoken about. Obviously, the accusations were traded from amongst the leading parties and the likes. All of those activities have brought us to this particular point, the point where Dr. Serebour Quaicoe, who appears to have a lot of the microphones stationed in front of him, will be expected to deliver that final address. And then, if it's a celebration, we can see it in some grand style for the National Democratic Congress. And so, for many of them, they are optimistic that this could be the beginning of something really good for the opposition National Democratic Congress. Of course, it also adds to the fact that there's a lot of work to be done in addition to all of the things that we've seen. But we're waiting really finally for that declaration to come from the Electoral Commission. 99 polling stations, over 40,000 voters. Campaigns have been ongoing. On Sunday, there was the final rally. That didn't stop all the candidates or all the parties and the Assin to continue to go into the nooks and crannies to drum home the message, continue to make the case that my candidate is the preferred choice, vote for me, vote for my candidate, and then you will see the development continue. The no campaign day on Monday, which was yesterday, did not stop anybody. Today we've seen it, even as the voting has been ongoing, the clear-cut voter inducement and the likes that have taken place. And so just finally, we will await really for all of the processes to the dignitaries up here, and then we get a fair sense as to exactly what it is that has been happening. Like I mentioned, William Evansinkum is my colleague. He's still here. I just speak, if I can say, final thoughts really before we get to the Electoral Commission at the high table. Evans, your thoughts, are, particularly on the comments by James Achikwesi?
Well, absolutely. I think he could have said it a better way, as human as he is. Definitely, you expect such a statement to come from him. But also, giving him some level of a beacon of hope, because now he has what he has been looking forward to. That is going back to Parliament. Well, as to what the future will hold for him, I think it's just a matter of a legal tussle. But he is also beaming with confidence that come what may, he will be able to overcome. But the most important thing here now is for the Electoral Commission to officially announce the certified results, and exactly what we are going to see in a couple of seconds.
Right then.
Well, so this is your Election Command Center and bringing you live updates from the Constituency Coalition Center in the Assin North constituency. James Achikwesi of the NDC has won this by-election and retained the seat for the NDC. So the status quo remains 137 for the NPP, 137 for the NDC, with the independent candidate breaking the tie in there. Now, I was telling you earlier about the numbers involved and the story that this tells as well. So stay with me. I'm going to show you on the screen how things have played out from 2020 to this point. And then also Professor Ransford Jampo is going to be also letting us into what this story particularly tells us as well. So we'll get into all of that. Okay, this is what it looks like. Now, this is what the Electoral Commission is going to declare in the next few minutes. Because let's go back to the constituency now. Dr. Serebour Quaicoe is talking. Let's hear from him.
Both permanent and temporary. We wouldn't have been here without the support of all these people. Election is collective responsibility. No matter what the Commission does, if our stakeholders do not support us, we will not achieve any good results. That is why I want to thank all of you for your cooperation and support. I also want to take the opportunity to introduce my colleagues with me here to you. And the extreme right is the Deputy Central Regional Director. The next is Ms. Abigail Nutafamponza. She's in charge of gender desk at the head office. On my immediate right is Mr. Samuel Wegu. He's our director for HR. I will jump over this. The next person, the lady, is the regional director, Central Region. After her is our director for administration, Mr. Lawrence Sapon. The next, our lawyer Emmanuel Adair. Extreme left is our district officer for Assin North, Christabel. This is Christabel Ubiyebua. At my back are our district officers and other police, return of the key trainer who came to support us. I will now ask the region director to introduce the return officer for the region director to announce the results. Don't worry, I will move as you can hear. Come here. Come here.
Good evening to you all. Upon successful conduct of parliamentary by-election held in Assin North today, these are the details of the results. Now, 3 candidates contested. Candidate number 1, in the person of Charles Okoku of the New Patriotic Party, secured 12,630 votes. Candidate number 2, Sefenu Bennett Enyonam of the LPG, secured 87 votes. Candidate number 3, Kwesi James Tachi, secured 17,245. Total valid votes is 29,962. Total rejected votes is 456. Total vote cast 30,418. For candidate number 1, he secured a percentage of 42.15%. Candidate number 2 secured 0.29%. Candidate number 3 had 57.56%. By the power in me vested, now total turnout is 74%, 74.23%. Now please have the candidates come. By the power in me vested, constituency, I hereby declare Honorable James Jachi Kwesi as the Member of Parliament elect for the Assin North constituency. Thank you, and may God bless us all.
We've seen here in the Assin North constituency, and just the loud
Well, so just as we put it out earlier here on your election command center, the Electoral Commission has confirmed our earlier statistics we put out there because we were in direct reference to what they were publishing at the Constituency Coalition Center in the Assin North constituency. So we're going to put that back on the screen just for the benefit of those of you who are just joining us. James Jachi has won, retained the Assin North constituency seat on the ticket of the NDC. And this is how things played out. Let's put it back there in terms of the percentage breakdown. And for our viewers also to follow every step of the way how things played out earlier today. So per the percentage breakdown, James Jachi has won with some 57.56%. Electoral Commission, the returning officer for the Assin North constituency, has just declared him winner of this by-election with the NPP's Charles Opoku polling some 42.15%. I was telling you about the figures and the story that tells. Very, very interesting if you look at how things played out in the 2020 election. So follow me closely and we'll just run through it. Professor Ransford Jampo is a professor of political science at the University of Ghana, Legon. He's still with us here in studio, here on your election command center. We'll get into it. This is how the picture looks like. Charles Opoku 42.15 and also James Jachi 57.56% of the total vote cast. Now, prior to this moment, the NPP presented a different candidate in the 2020 general elections. And we saw what happened in the 2020 general elections. For the presidential, the NPP won this constituency. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo actually won this Assin North constituency in the 2020 elections with just some 1,000 vote difference in there. And this was what happened in the 2020 elections with respect to the Assin North elections. Now, so far, this is it. For the parliamentary, in the year 2020 elections, Abena Drowa, who was then the incumbent of this member of parliament of this particular constituency, came second with some 14,193 of the votes, as against James Jachi of the NDC, who won this seat in the 2020 general elections with some 17,498 of the total votes cast, representing 55.27%. Keep that in mind, 55.27% of the total vote cast. This was in the 2020 elections. And Abena Drowa then was actually the incumbent member of parliament for this constituency. This is what happened in 2016. Abena Drowa won. And so she went into the 2020 elections with this margin. The NDC had Samuel Ambre in the constituency, but then they changed to James Jachequason. And now look at what's happened in this particular by-election now, 57.56%. So in percentage terms, James Jachequason has actually increased his vote by a little over 2%. But the story is much clearer when you look at it in raw figures. James Jachequason has increased his vote in terms of the margin of difference between him and Charles Opoku of the NPP by almost 5,000 votes. Remember, in the 2020 elections, he won with just a little over 3,000 votes, and another won the presidential. The NPP went with the argument that, look, because they didn't have a candidate coming from James Jachequason's hometown, which is Assin Breko, so they would now change their candidate, bring in somebody from there to tap into the large voter population in Assin Breko. So they changed to Charles Opoku and pitched him against James Jachequason. From what we are seeing now today, that strategy did not work. Another one that they used against James Jachequason was the issues in court, which Professor Ransford Jampo has spoken quite eloquently on. That also did not work. In fact, we've seen his votes increase. There is a story in these figures and how things are playing out and how things will play out going into the 2024 general elections. This is your Election Command Center. Stay with me. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. We'll zoom straight into Ghana tonight. Professor Ransford Jampo is still with us in studio. We'll have a few people joining us as well as we continue the conversation on the Assin North by-elections, James Jachequason's victory, and what lies ahead. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. This is your Election Command Center. Stay with me. We'll be back shortly.
What does love mean to you? Is it words of affirmation, quality time, service, or lovely surprises? We like to get a little cocky and mix things up a bit on Perfect Match. The drama just went up a notch on Perfect Match Extra. Experience the cocktail of love, drama, betrayal, explosive arguments, and steamy confessions. Get ready for a thrilling love journey with twists and turns as your television experience just got better with Perfect Match Extra only on TV3. Perfect Match Extra.
Friendship, reality, abstinence.
Let the games begin.
Hi, baby.
Hi, Mom.
Hope you're having fun at Granny's.
Yeah, but Grandma doesn't have my favorite top chocolate spread. Hi, Mom. Mommy, please, I missed top chocolate spread on bread.
Tasty too. Made just for you and me. Choco, it's chocolate choco. It's chocolate choco. It's chocolate choco. Top choco. It's chocolate.
Surprise children.
Yay! It's chocolate choco.
Taste of chocolate.